Hey guys, my name is Andrew Feil. I'm the Spiritual Formation Director at the Feil campus, and really tonight to talk to you about what is every neighborhood. So as you go through the primer, we've been talking about the WELL's mission statement of helping people connect to God, to each other, in every neighborhood. And so this week, I want to just put some flesh on the bones of what does it mean, every neighborhood. It's kind of a loaded concept, so just to walk through it and explain it. So that's our kind of goal in the next couple minutes. But I think, as I start off, there's just this interesting kind of trajectory you see with most Christians that at some point God intersects our lives, that we come to know Him, and we're just like super pumped. We're excited for what God's doing in us, and we're sharing that. We're telling people that don't know Him, and I'm just going, man, like, where you at? Like, God is just meeting me in a powerful way. We're reading Scripture. We're really diving into Scripture. And then there's just like this kind of slow process where, we're like, we hear, oh, we got to get in a church. So we join a church, and then we got to get in a life group. So we get in a life group. And then more and more and more, we start putting church calendar events on our calendar. And we begin, I think studies have shown that within 3 years, most Christians don't have non-Christian friends. And I think for us, we're going at the well, we're going, why? Why does that have to, that doesn't have to be. Why does that happen? How can we fight against that? How can we fight against the tide of this Christian subculture and bubble that, just slowly happens to most of us? And so that's when we talk about every neighborhood, we're meaning for the church to get out of the building into the context, get out into everyday life. That for us at the Well, the church is not where you come on a Wednesday or where you come on a Sunday. The church for us really is the people. You are the church. So right now, gathered in a home, in a building, wherever, you are the church. You are the church of God. And so we want to see the church in every neighborhood. Really, I think the admonition comes from John 17, where Jesus is kind of right before he's going up to heaven, he's praying this prayer, and he's saying for the disciples, this is kind of what I hope for you. I hope you get this. I hope you understand this. In John 17:15, he says, I do not ask that you take them out of the world, but that you keep them from the evil one. They are not of the world, just as I am not of the world. Sanctify them in the truth. Your word is truth. As you sent me into the world, so I have sent them into the world. Christ calls us not to be disconnected from the world, but to be engaged in it. We are here for a reason and for a purpose. So if we just kind of surround ourselves in our own community, cluster ourselves, we're going against Jesus' commands. He's put us there for a reason. He's put us there to have influence, and to have influence with the people we interact with. And so I think as we talk about every neighborhood, it's this idea of being sent, that God has given us a calling and a sending to go and to be in every neighborhood. So what does every neighborhood mean? It's kind of mystic, or it could be kind of confusing. I think there's a couple things we'll explain. One is live, work, and play. So live, work, and play. So what does it mean where you live? Well, we all actually have physical next door neighbors, right? Like you live somewhere, so whether it's in an apartment, whether it's in a house, whatever kind of dorm, whatever it is, you have neighbors, and you have a chance to live as a light in that community, to be a good next door neighbor. So that can be so many different things, from being intentional about getting to know your neighbors, having them over, and just doing acts of service with your neighbors. So growing a garden and taking them stuff, of walking your dog regularly, of being out in the front doors, of taking in their trash or their newspaper. It's ways that we as where we live can be a good next door neighbor, that we have the chance to be in every neighborhood where we live. Where you work. So we often, as our society is, we spend more time at work often than we do at home. And we have a chance to be good, neighbors at work. We have a chance to be good coworkers, and through our work, not only quality, but also just through our attitudes and our personality at work, we have a chance to be a blessing there. So we have a chance to show Christ's love where we work. We have a chance to avoid gossip and to be the ones that are, not complaining, but just of thankful people and grateful people. We have a chance to be a blessing to our coworkers, whether it's bringing them a note, a thank you, a bagel, of being the first one to talk to people. Instead of waiting for somebody to talk to you, being the one to go, hey, how's your morning going? Or good morning. We had the chance to get to know our coworkers. So being social with them, organizing a carpool, just getting to know their lives and sharing life with them. We have a chance to do that with those that we work around. And then when we play. Play has the idea, I think, really of recreation, of, it's from the gym to sports teams to hobbies, that we have a chance to be a regular at a coffee shop. And through being a regular, we have a chance to get to know the barista, get to know their story, and be there in the good times and the bad times. We have a chance to hobby with non-Christians. Instead of playing in a church league, we could play in a city league and get to know other people outside of our faith. And we have a chance to even just the simple things of like tipping well, of being a generous tipper and being generous with our resources. And so that's kind of this idea of live, work, and play, and really with the heart of what Jesus said in Matthew 5. He said, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." So as Christians, and as we talk about live, work, and play and other kind of ideas of what it means to be in every neighborhood, the goal and the idea is that we want to do good works. We want to be in every neighborhood so that people give glory to God. So they go, and these people are like different. They're weird. They just do things that most people don't do. They're not selfish. They give of what they have. Like, what's going on? And at the end of the day, they give glory to God. Not for you, not to be a good person, but we do it so people go, I got to know who this Jesus is. I got to know who God is, because, man, my coworker just lives life so different. My neighbor lives life so different. This guy that I met at a softball league does life so different. What's going on? And so that's the heart. That's the heartbeat for us as we talk about every neighborhood. Every neighborhood also has a different idea, where in Luke 10, this young scribe comes up to Jesus and he says, "Who is my neighbor?" And then there's the parable of the Good Samaritan. And Jesus really lays out this story of different people, pastors, religious leaders, a life group leader, these kind of people that just skip over this hurting guy. They just skip over it and go, somebody else will take care of it. And then this guy comes on and supports him, loves him, takes care of him, gives of his money, gives of his time to a hurting man. And Jesus then goes, who's the best neighbor? This guy was the neighbor. And the moral of the story is for us, we're all neighbors. We're neighbors to those that are hurting. We're neighbors to those that we don't like. That for us, as we talk about every neighborhood, it means we are servants to all. We are servants to the least of these and to the greatest of these. That is our challenge and that is our call. Micah 6:8 says it this way: "He has told you, O man, what is good. What does the Lord require of you but to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God?" God's heart for us as Christians is that we pursue justice, that we pursue just systems and structures, and so that the least of these are taken care of and supported in our society. That's our call and our commission as Christians, and that we get to be people that help see shalom, help see this idea of right relationships, right structures coming to earth. And so for us as Christians, when we talk about every neighborhood, we really mean every neighborhood. You live in a neighborhood, but then there's neighborhoods around you. You part of a city. So the hurting parts of our city need to be loved on, need to be taken care of. And so as a life group, you have the chance to serve those hurting communities, to empower and to give hope of Jesus in those communities. We're part of this local community and we're part of these global communities. The world is so global now. And as Christians, we have the chance to be a part of those communities. We have the chance to know what's happening in Thailand. We have the chance to know what is happening in Africa. like never before. And so for us as Christians, we can do that in a couple ways. One, of talking about serving these communities. You can serve downtown. You can serve in the hurting communities. You can serve globally by going on an exposure trip. An exposure trip is really a chance to get to know what God's doing in another part of the world, to get to see His Spirit moving in mighty ways, and to get to engage with those that need some love. So you can do that as a life group. You can do that as an individual. And then another way is supporting those that have already gone to these other global communities, that are in a different neighborhood just on the other side of the world. So if they're in Costa Rica, if they're in Thailand, if they're in Africa, you get a chance to come around and support them, whether it's financially, through prayer, visiting them, is that we have members of the well that have gone out to these areas, and we call them extended family. So they're family that really is, they're still family at the well, they're just in another country, in another area. So you have the chance to do that where you live, where you work, where you play. You have the chance to do it in other neighborhoods, in your local context and in your global context. And I think, just another way to think about it is there's kind of two ways to do this as a group. So you may be thinking, yeah, I understand, me personally doing it, but how do we do this as a life group? So 2 ways to spend time thinking about this as a life group. One is doing this, talking about every neighborhood, and challenging everybody in your life group to live this out. And so it's taking time as a life group to go, hey, let's be intentional this week as we talk about every neighborhood to be a blessing, to be an intentional blessing in our neighborhood. So whether that means giving of financial resources to somebody on your street, whether that means giving of time to somebody on your street, somebody just may need some shrubs cut back and put in the trash. Somebody just may need somebody to bring in the newspaper. Somebody, may need a warm cookie and a glass of milk. Whatever it is, you have a chance to challenge the people in your life group, challenge each other, look at each other and go, okay, let's live our faith this week where we live, or where we work, or where we play. You challenge each other, and then next week you come back as a life group and debrief that. Go, how did that go? How did it go, us taking a bold step of faith to go, we're going to intentionally show somebody the love of Christ, and we're going to talk about Christ. And so you have a chance to do that, talk about that in the life group context, go live it out, and then come back and debrief it. And so that's one way, as we talk about every neighborhood, a life group can be a part of it, is challenge each other to do it and come back and share how that went. The other way I'd say would be to do it together. So, we've heard of life groups that have somebody in the life group goes, I'd really love to do a block party just to unify my neighborhood, get to know my neighbors. And then the life group says, we'd love to help you in that. We've seen other life groups that also support a member of the life group that already has a passion for a certain nonprofit or a certain cause. And the whole life group comes around that and supports that person through time or through financial resources or through serving together. We've heard other life groups that just pick something and do it. And so as a life group, you have the chance to do something in your community. You have the chance to do something with a local nonprofit. You have a chance to do something with somebody that you know is going through a hard time, to bring meals or to come around them and support them. And so you have the chance to do it separately and encourage and just share those stories of what God's doing. And you have the chance to do it together. And I think the goal, as I've mentioned, is really the vision to see people come to know Christ. That as we talked about, the being salt and light in the community, that as people see that light, they go, there's something different about these people. These people don't wait for other people to get involved, they get involved. That they, take this Jesus, who everybody loves Jesus. Non-Christians read Jesus and they go, that's a good dude, I can get behind that. And then they look at Christians and they go, they're nothing like him. And so for the first time we go, this is coming together, that as the church, as believers, we're living like Jesus. We're caring for the down and out. We're caring for those that are hurting. We're caring for our neighbors. And in that, it's just attractive. That's a magnetic thing, is the people of Christ live like Jesus. That's magnetic. And so we hope that as your group begins to get out in every neighborhood, as you get out into those different contexts, as you get out to where you live, work, and play, that your neighbors are going to go, what is going on? Like, who is this group of people you guys meet with? Why do you do this? Like, why are you doing these nice things for me? Tell me why. And you get to go, it's Jesus. And they go, can I be a part of that group? I want to do that. Like, I want to be a part of that. And hopefully your group will begin to grow as people come to know Jesus, as they step into your group and go, I want to be a part of this. And as a group, that's a challenge for you to invest in others, invite them into your group, and your group will need to grow. The capacity of your group will need to expand. If you have to multiply as a group, we'll help you figure that out as well. But we really want to see this vision of loving and serving our community that I think is attractive, and I think it is exactly what Jesus did, how he lived, and as the church we get to do that. We get to live as the Acts 2 community that is really taking our resources and leveraging them there for our neighbors, leveraging them from the areas where we live, work, and play. And, as you think about that, just begin to pray about that as a life group. Begin to pray about the people that God has put into your life. Who has he put into your life? Examine the circles where you live, where you work, where you play, and just begin to maybe, come up with a couple names. Oh, this guy is a guy maybe I should be a little more intentional about. Like, I always feel like God's telling me to say something to him, or just go to lunch together at work. I'll do that. That'll be my next step. So begin to think about who are the people God has placed in your life. As a life group, begin to talk about the passions God's given you, because this group you're sitting in has so many passions for every neighborhood. They have so many ideas of what they could be, that just talk about it. Begin to fuel that flame, and then choose one. Choose one thing that you want to do as a life group, one next step that you want to take together. And I think as you begin to do that, God's going to really craft a vision as a life group of what we're about, that we're about engaging and stepping outside of ourselves, that we don't want to be a community that looks around and go, oh, we don't know anybody that doesn't know Christ. We want to be in their lives. We want to be an intentional blessing. So we want to do things for them that show the love of Christ. And we will tell them about the love of Christ. We want to step into the areas that we're passionate about and be culturally engaged, and know that Christianity has something to say about government, about education, about the social structures of our society, about justice, that we'll step into these areas of media and arts and go, Jesus has something to say about it. And then finally, that we'll be an inclusive community that we'll get to know folks and invite them into our life, into our family, at our dining room table. And so that's our vision for every neighborhood, that we begin to just pray about it, we begin to be thinking about it, and then we just take small next steps. It's nothing huge. It's just taking one step and being faithful to hear from God and to act on it. And so it's our vision in our heart that your life group would begin to just slowly been chewing on this. We want to see communities of people throughout the city, throughout this nation, throughout this world, that are intentional to be in every neighborhood, that are intentional to love and to serve, and to be that glimpse of God in their community. So excited for this journey with you guys, and just good luck. We'll be alongside of you and praying for you.